But the Cardinals ultimately do get the ball back. They march down the field. A big play by Michael Wilson. Shock me if you've heard that before the last 2 weeks.
Right.
Wilson gets down on the ground at the Jaguars, 11-yard line, something like that. He pops up with 28 seconds left. There's no timeouts. The clock is rolling, and the Cardinals don't get a snap off until about 10 seconds. So 18 seconds effectively from the moment Michael Wilson pops up to the moment they're able to get a play call in, engage all of the players on what said play call was, and then snap the ball. The ball is a 101 end zone shot to Michael Wilson single coverage. It doesn't fall. There's 6 seconds left after that. The Cardinals have to end up taking a field goal. And there's this great divide, Alex, between Cardinals fans, media, and NFL pundits nationally of should you have spiked it? Did they make the right call not letting the Jaguars get set? I think people know where I stand. I would have spiked it. I would have gone down there immediately and spiked it because you're giving yourself 2, maybe even 3 shots at the end zone before you have to trot your field goal kicker out to send it to overtime. And I like the point that you had brought up. I think you put it on X or Twitter, whatever the cool kids call it. And we were talking about it before the show. Is you play to win in regulation, not overtime. I would rather try to win in regulation than leave it up to chance in overtime. But that's exactly what they ended up doing.
Yeah, I mean, you really aren't going to win in overtime. I mean, if you play for the tie, that's a losing move. To quote a JG thing, that's not winning behavior. And I think the game was lost in that moment. I think you win on essentially a walk-off touchdown, or you lose. And I'm sitting here and I am way more okay with saying, oh man, Jacoby overthrew Trey McBride in the end zone with 0 seconds on the clock, or it was an incomplete pass or a sack or something happened, right? It's like I'm totally fine with that. I'm not fine with kicking a field goal knowing you're going to lose in overtime, because to me, and maybe that's pessimism on my part, but I'm like, look at the way the defense played, and to their credit, they came up with enough of a stop to give their offense a chance. But if you had watched the offense all day, you are not scoring a touchdown in overtime in that situation. The offense had given everything it had, and Jacoby, I think you even said something like Jacoby just looked exhausted. Everyone just kind of looked like they were completely. The offense capitalized 7 points off turnovers. They had 4 turnovers and got 7 offensive points. So no, I'm not putting it in their hands and saying go 80 yards, 70 yards in overtime when you are 15 yards away from the end zone. Spike the ball, run 3-4 plays. You had enough time to do that.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think conservatively, if they get down the field, they should have spiked the ball. You're maybe looking at 10 seconds to get everybody down there and get set. So there's 18 seconds theoretically on the clock. That's more than ample time to try to get a couple shots to the end zone. And you know what? If those shots don't work, Alex, you kick the field goal, which is what you ended up doing anyway.
Yeah.
But after the game, Jonathan Gannon said it was the right move. He loved it. Jacoby Brissett said it was the right move. He loved it. Those two seem to have been on the same page about everything, which I guess is good. Cool. But to be honest, Alex, I've obviously am a big Jonathan Gannon guy. I don't think he should get fired, but clock management and end of game decisions have been the constant theme around Jonathan Gannon since he first landed in Arizona, because dating back to 2023, how many times have we seen a couple decisions late game that ultimately ended up biting the Cardinals? And you know what? It's been a reoccurring thing, and not in a good way for Arizona.
Yeah, it's one of those things that you risk with a rookie head coach, but at this point, I don't think it should be happening anymore in year 3. I mean, and if it's still a problem, then he needed to hire somebody to help him manage that clock, to be sort of that assistant coach kind of that just tells you, hey, you can win the game if you do that. That is the thing that bothers me the most about losses like this. I can live with losing a game because the players couldn't execute or couldn't make a play. But when it feels like the coaching staff squandered a very, very large opportunity there, I mean, that you can't blame the players for that. And it's like, you want the players to decide the game, not the coaches, not the refs, not the, external factors. And you kind of take the game out of their hands when you don't set them up to be able to execute at the end.
Yeah, I think it's beautifully said, and I want to add on to that too, because like the coaches should be putting the players in position to win the game, right? The coaches shouldn't be deciding the game, but they should be putting the pieces on the chessboard properly to ensure that the players can have the best opportunity to do so. And there's so much to be said about the inexperienced staff that Gannon and all the other assistant coaches that he had brought in back in 2023. And you're seeing a lot of the, oh, well, like they're playing hard, they're playing teams close. And, that decision didn't go their way. And like that was something that was appreciated in 2023 when there were no expectations for this football team. Monty Ossenfort trimmed this roster down to its bare bones. It was a complete inexperienced staff from top to bottom. They went 4-13 that year, Alex, but like they played hard. They played tough. Like they got a lot of respect. That shouldn't be the same drum that we're beating in 2025. When you had serious playoff expectations, you had very, very real postseason hopes. And that wasn't just from people like you and I covering the team. It wasn't just from people in the fan base hoping, not only wanting to see a playoff run on the PlayStation 5 before turning it off. That was coming from the locker room. That was coming from the players. That was coming from the front office. And everybody that dons an Arizona Cardinals logo this offseason leading into the season was like, yeah, like we should do this. And I'm not saying they set people up for failure, but like everybody in the desert knew, hey man, year 3, it's a very big year, very pivotal year for guys like Jonathan Gannon and everybody else to really take that next step. They were 6-4 last year entering the bye week. They collapsed at the end of it. They only improved their roster this past offseason. It's like, okay, we're locked, we're loaded. Let's see what we can do. And the results so far, Alex, have been extremely disappointing. Extremely disappointing. And like, I get it. Like, injuries have like thrown them sideways. Like, they have not had their entire deck of cards to play with. And I do want to add some nuance to this conversation too, kind of sprinkling it back to the whole like clock thing. I don't think it's very easy for people like me who sit up top in the press box that's sealed. It's kind of isolated away from the loud craziness of the stadium. For me to say, hey, you know what? They should have done this. They should do this. Why aren't they doing this? But when you're on the sideline, a big play just happens. The play clock is ticking, the game clock is ticking. Like, you have to make split second decisions so your team isn't looking around wondering, hey, like, what are we going to do? Like, there's 40 seconds on the play clock. There was 28 seconds on the game clock whenever Wilson went down. Like, they don't exactly have the luxury to kind of sit back and think, I wonder what we should do. So, like, I will give them that. But at least for me, and I'll stop yapping here in a second, I promise, Alex. At least for me, for this to happen not once, not twice, but be a reoccurring theme whenever it comes to Jonathan Gannon and the misusage of game clock scenarios and his overall inability to do it at a high level like other coaches around the National Football League, that's a problem.
Yeah. It's one of those things that comes down to like preparedness. Like, they're not practicing that kind of situation, clearly. Like, they don't know. I don't know. I mean, I'm not actually at practice, but clearly, like, they weren't ready for a situation, for a fire drill like that. Clearly, they weren't ready for, oh, when we get into crunch time and we are in position to win the game, like, we got to be buttoned up and do that. Like, imagine if they were down like 1 point and it was like 10 seconds. Like, do you think they would have gotten the field goal unit on the field in time? Like, in that situation, you know what I mean?
Yes and no, man. I do think they practice those because there have been a couple instances in the past where like they've had to pull something similar off to that, and I think maybe the most overlooked thing, Michael Wilson like spiking the ball in celebration or whatever, like that's whatever, but like.
Yeah.
The other 10 guys took their sweet ass time getting to that line of scrimmage. Took their time getting down there, man. I think that's probably what really stalled everything for me.
Yeah.
So it's a lot, man. And it's so nuanced, it's so complex to have all of these moving parts going on at the same time. But like that just brings us back to good versus great. There's a very thin line in the NFL between good teams and great teams. And great teams, like they have this practice, they have this installed. Like they are able to operate when stuff is going sideways. They're able to make plays whenever stuff is going sideways. And the Cardinals this year just have not been able to do that. Have not. Alex, there's a lot of talk about this play. There's even more talk about the final play of the game. Xavier Weaver's down there somewhere, my guy. Right. 4th and 4. The Cardinals down by 3. 4 minutes left in overtime. Jacoby Brissett stares down Xavier Weaver, for lack of better terms, throws it into what everybody says was single coverage, man-to-man, until Andrew Wingard, the Jaguars safety, just flipped his hips and bolted right to the ball. You can see in the picture on the screen, double coverage to say the least. Xavier Weaver is never coming down with that ball. The pass falls incomplete. The Jaguars win off of that. That's a screenshot on the side of right before Brissett really kind of cocks back and loads it. I don't know if you want to talk about the incomplete pass to Xavier Weaver, the quote unquote open guys underneath, or the fact that those open guys, Alex, aren't even at the sticks on the gotta have it down.
Yeah, that's a bigger problem. You look at this screenshot and it's like, throw it to one of the open guys. Well, okay, there's a linebacker right there. Like if it was Trey McBride, bowling over somebody, sure, like you want to give him a chance. I'm still not happy with throwing it short of the sticks and expecting a guy to make a play in the open field and not get tackled short. So yeah. I just think it was a bad play design in general. Obviously, and I said this to you before, but this is a blitz beater, right? They're expecting heavy pressure. They're expecting, okay, that Christian Kirk play against the Vikings a couple years back with Kyler Murray where there's like 12 guys coming at him and he just hucks it? Like that's what they're going for. They're expecting pressure on 4th down. We're going to send the guy like in that direction. He's going to be wide open because they're just trying to disrupt the play. And that's not what happened. In that moment, Jacoby probably needs to find a better place to go with the ball. I know JG said he loved it. He liked the decision, whatever, all of that. I think the play is not designed in a way where there's a secondary option that is worth going to. And that has been the calling card of this offensive staff, where you say, and people get mad at me when I say like Kyler Murray's coached to check it down. That's not, I didn't mean that in the sense of like they're telling him don't go deep. What I mean is when the first read isn't there, there's not a second or third option that is good. I'm not saying that there isn't a second or third option. It's that those options are short of the sticks in a position to not make the first down. And that is what we saw on this play. I almost care more about the play design than the decision to chuck it deep to an undersized, undrafted free agent.
Yeah, it like to me, if the play's there, it's there, but it wasn't. And I think we could live with if it was Michael Wilson, if it was Trey McBride. Like if you're targeting one of your best players with the game on the line and it falls short, all right. You know what, man? Like we gave Trey McBride a chance, just couldn't come down with it. Michael Wilson's been hot today in the last 2 weeks. He just wasn't able to come down with it. Whatever. It's the fact that it was like 40 yards downfield on a 4th and 4. That like I think with hindsight just should not have been the play design nor the call. And honestly, man, like I get the allure with doing that. Like you said, it is a blitz beater. They did, at least on Weaver, have man-to-man coverage, even though we're seeing 2 guys kind of drop into like flat zones here. But even so, man, like even like Greg Dortch chilling at the top of the screen. I would rather have Greg Dortch one-on-one with whoever that defender is than like try to squeeze that ball like 30 yards or 40 yards downfield. Like it's just, yeah. And the thing to me, Alex, is Brissett never looked anywhere else. Like that was where he was going the entire time. There were no reads made. There was no progression. It's, hey, like this is it. And it just feels like the Cardinals continue to box themselves in scenarios where it's either boom or bust. And 99% of the time they've busted.
It's low margin for error is how I would describe the offensive scheme in general. But a play like that, I mean, it's a low percentage play. It's a low percentage play, no matter who it is. It's a low, like that could be prime Calvin Johnson out there, Larry Fitzgerald. I'm pretty sure Britton Golden said like this exact same thing on our post game the other night. But like, it doesn't matter who you have out there; it's still a low percentage play, and that's just not what you want to be doing on 4th and 4. If it was 4th and 12, that's one thing. If it was 3rd and 1, I love the play call, not on 4th and short.
Yeah.
And
100%.
also, if Jacoby unleashes that thing a little bit sooner, that's a touchdown, because he has the look he wanted. That's why he went there. They all said it after the game. Yeah, he beat his man. Well, okay. Watching this in real time, it was like, whoa, like this was like the slowest operation of like
he threw that ball to the moon.
Yeah, it's like, dude, if he steps back like and quick fires that thing, it's probably like a 15-yard, 20-yard gain. Maybe not a touchdown, but it's like you have it there if you are quick with it. And it's like, how are you late on that throw if you're not progressing through any other looks like at the same time? So we have to put some of it on Jacoby too. But I really didn't like the play call.
I would agree. I think everybody involved has to take a little bit of the ownership here. And like, to be honest, man, the Cardinals had 2 timeouts. Like, if they didn't absolutely love the play call, they should have used one of them to try to get something a little bit better. And dude, like you saw how they aligned defensively, and like you still looked at that and said, "Hey, you know what? Cool, run it. Like, let's go." And like I can appreciate not calling a timeout there, because like you don't want the defense to have any more inkling or information of what to call. But the modern NFL game is designed to make it incredibly hard to stop the offense. Incredibly hard. Which makes it even all the more impressive, Alex, that the Cardinals managed to stop themselves more than any other team in the National Football League. It is truly something to behold. But like, I do have to give Jacksonville credit. Like, they're 7-4 now. Like, they're in the playoff picture in the AFC. They're not a bad team. But the problem is that the Cardinals arguably should have won that game. They arguably should have won half of the other games they've lost this year too. And that boils down to execution and coaching. They've had neither this year.
Yeah, I mean, it's like when a team says to you 4 times, "Here, please win this game. Please win it. Here's 4 turnovers. Here's a defensive touchdown." Like, dude, you got to capitalize on that. And it's not even like, I don't expect perfection. I don't expect, that this was going to be a blowout or anything. But it's like, yeah, you at the very end there, everything is on the line. You go for the touchdown to win the game, period. Like, it's almost like I almost don't want to talk about the play in overtime, because that game was lost with 15 plus seconds on the clock and in the red zone. Like, what do you mean you lost the game in that moment before you even had a chance?
Such is life, covering Arizona Cardinals. Such is life. Let's get out of here, my guy. Where can people find you at?
You can find me at gophnx.com and si.com/MLB/on/SI/Diamondbacks, because they, yeah.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely love that. He's Alex D'Agostino. I am Donnie Druin. Thank you so much for tuning in to another edition of the Cardinals on SI podcast. Follow Alex on Twitter and all social medias. You can follow me on Twitter and X as well. And until next time.